You ladies ready? All right, we will call the August meeting of the Hartsville-Trousdale County Planning Commission to order. This time, do we have anybody absent? Just Heather. Heather's the only one. Heather's the only one not here. Now, for what it's worth, we have two county commissioners that are part of our planning committee. I had met with Jack last Monday, a week ago today. And of course, we knew Mr. Noller wasn't going to be back. Wasn't sure about David, but I just broached the subject with him. What would, what's the procedure for replacement? And I said, can they serve until the county commission, the mayor, I would assume, would have to then recommend a replacement and the county commission approve that replacement? David, isn't that how the process works? And I said, so that we wouldn't be shorthanded, can y'all stay on until then? He said that it was fine with him, that he thought he probably could, because, this time every year after an election, that a lot of times that happens. He was going to check with the county attorney just to make sure. I haven't heard anything since, but until we hear no, I hope both you gentlemen will continue to come and we'll try, maybe we can get an answer. Yes, sir.
So I was originally appointed just as a citizen. When I became a commissioner, they moved my spot as into a commissioner spot. I believe the same time that her name escapes me now, a commissioner that left. I cannot remember her name now. Red-haired lady. It's killing me.
Color and hair won't do me much good.
Anyways, I took her spot as a commissioner when I was elected.
Okay.
4 years ago. It was just a move over, and then my appointed spot was filled, and I don't know which member filled that spot because there was a couple that came and went about that same time. So yeah, I have no problem continuing to serve as the mayor sees fit, because that is how I serve on this board.
Right.
And to whatever capacity he sees fit for me to serve.
And of course, we all serve that way. We are nominated by the mayor, approved by the county commission. And so we technically serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And that's the way it ought to be. But hopefully we can continue. I hate to lose experience if we don't have to. So whatever Mr. Beller, and even if we do have to, or what, I don't know, I never knew for sure how many county commissioners they wanted to sit. Is that in some kind of bylaw or something, some kind of rules of y'all's?
I believe it's state that says we have to have 2 commissioners, but that has been since I was elected. That was what I've been told.
Wonder why there's no regulation then for a county commissioner to be on the board of the BZA. Just wondered. It just hit me, if there's requirement of 2 to be on this body, you would think there would be at least 1 on the BZA, but I'm just making up stuff. I don't know. I don't know squat. All right. So we will get into our agenda. Heather you got Heather, I'm sure, didn't you? Next is the approval of the minutes. You have a copy of this. You've had a copy emailed to you. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look over those. If please do so and let us know if there's any corrections or additions that need to be made. Does anybody have any corrections or additions? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve. Motion by Shutter to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Noller. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Next on our agenda is the time for public comments or public hearing about any item that's on the agenda. So if there's anyone here that would like to, unless you're already on the agenda, well, you'll have your chance. But if there's anyone else that would like to speak to any item on the agenda, please come to the podium over there, and we would like to hear your thoughts at this time. Okay. We have no old business. New business is the election of officers for this next year. We don't really have a secretary anymore since y'all have kind of absorbed that position into the office, haven't you?
So the secretary for the planning commission is the one that is legally able to sign.
So we do
plans.
have one.
Yes, sir, you do.
Who is that right now? Shut up. I see a re-election in the future. A crystal ball has appeared before me. So the offices, let me see if I've got these right, would be chairman, what do we call it? Chairman pro tem or
Vice chair.
vice chair and secretary. Are there any others? Just those three. Okay. Well, we'll just take. Now, at this time, I would accept any motions for chairman. Oh, y'all gonna let him? Yes, sir. Okay. I guess since it's your last one. Well, no, it's not really. Do I have a second? Second by. Well, Katie's going to get the credit for it. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations, please? Okay. All in favor of me continuing on as chairman, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. No. It does pass everybody to one. David, you're our vice chair right now. Cal. Okay, I couldn't remember. The floor is now open for nominations for vice chairman. Yes, sir.
Like to speed this up a little bit. I make a motion that we keep the other two offices held as they are. So that would be Cal as vice chair and Shutter as secretary.
Have a motion by Mr. Thomas to go ahead and railroad Cal
Second that.
and Shutter into those offices they currently hold. Have a second by Heather. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously. It's a shame last Thursday couldn't have gone that quick. All right. Also on the next item under new business is a rezoning request. This is a rezoning request of property on Highway 25 West of 5.62 acres from HC-2 HR-3 to HCMU-PUD. So it's another PUD zoning request. And this is so that they can put 11 single-family dwellings and 3 1,200 square foot commercial units on this 5.62 acres. And this is by Mr. Mark Matthews. Is Mr. Matthews here? Anyone? You're representing them? Okay, come on up then.
I'm Stephen Lancaster, the design engineer for this project. Just like Mr. Kerr said, we are going to be proposing 11 homes. This client is prioritizing aesthetic more than density with this case. So this is going to be set up more of a traditional subdivision rather than a townhome or anything like that. So this is purely homes. And the commercial storefronts, they should be 3 1,000 square foot units. I don't know if that's a technicality that matters right now, but But it's just a 3,000 square foot is what the building is proposing. Everything else is pretty typical in terms of the utility wise, density requirements. I believe we can go up to, I think, 24, and we're proposing 11. So we, as again, are reiterating the fact of we want this as an aesthetic, focusing more on aesthetic rather than density. So we have, as you see up here in the front, we do have. Sorry, that just went off, my bad. We do have the mail/kiosk area up here in the front as and we show a enlarged area of that with just your typical cluster box for those units there. Some of this stuff we have, your typical landscaping buffers between everything, between the residential and commercial. The trees that are on here are more of a visual aid. When we get to the final purpose, you'll actually have shrubs, more of I guess, a dense visual representation there. But again, this is just as for the preliminary stages. So any questions, I'll feel free to answer them for you all.
Anybody have any questions? David?
I guess this would be the time to go ahead and get it out. I have two. One, looking on this, you just have the row of trees along the back property line that backs up to another residential property. There should be a fence on that, and that should be thicker buffering there. And I was wondering, on your trash pickup, have you reached out to solid waste? Are you going to do a dumpster or individual cans?
So to answer the first one, just like how on note 10, we are trying to show you that, hey, we're going to be planning on whatever the zoning ordinance are for the landscape buffers in those areas. As me and Miss Rosalie did talk, we are going to include a fence or some screening of that to make a more separation there. And then we have talked to him, and he has given us a dumpster area for the commercial development here on the bottom right. It's kind of like a little jut out there. We're still trying to finalize the best location, but as long as we had a decent area, that's where we were going to put there. And then we were working on either doing individual bins for each home, or having that same area but beefing it up more to accept everything from everybody. And that was something he said, that's just preference, not necessarily right or wrong. So again, we have room to add that, but I just showed it as having an area with what would be individual boxes is what I showed it. So
Cliff said he would rather have is that who you're referring to?
yes, sir.
That's what I thought. Other questions? Of course, this will all be on city water, city sewage. Okay, we will go now to our advisors. Ms. Rosalie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for pointing out about the buffer strip. We did talk about this, with this being the preliminary concept. Their final plat will have to have everything notated. He does have it notated on number 10 about the landscape buffer strip. Looking at what we have with the piece of property in your packet, you'll notice that we included all the information from when this was rezoned to a dual zone, C2 in the front and R3 in the back. So you have all that information there. Looking at the access to TDOT, they will also be talking with them. You have will serve letters from the electric company and also the water company on that they will be able to be serviced. You notice here too that they have 2 different fire hydrants, and Mr. Lancaster, what is the flow? Will they be fire protection, 500 gallons per minute, 2 PSI?
500 gallons per minute and 20 PSI is what
20
we,
PSI,
is
thank
what we
you.
have to have. Each unit would have around 2 gallons per minute peak is what they would, what we design off of. But all we have to do is to have fire protection is 500 gallons per minute and 20 pounds per square inch. So
And I do see you have it notated down here about the existing fire hydrant that is across the road from this development, having the 550 gallons per minute and having the 30 PSI. Thank you so much. Given all this information here and having numerous conversations on making sure that things are, as our ordinances say, my office looks at this and say that it has checked the boxes, and I'll pass it on to Miss Amanda.
Anybody have any questions for Miss Rosalie before we go to Amanda? Miss Amanda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My two comments on this project have to do with landscaping. And I do appreciate note number 10, where you're going to bulk up some of the landscaping and add the fence, which we learned here. However, on the first comment that I had, where the front setback for buildings shall be 40 feet with a permanently landscaped front yard of 10 feet exclusive of driveways. The second comment was the peripheral boundary. All buildings shall maintain a minimum setback from the peripheral boundary of the CMU PUD of not less than 40 feet. A minimum side and rear of 10 feet shall be maintained in a permanently landscaped manner. I recognize that this is a preliminary master plan. There's also a note in my report that says from the zoning resolution that there are exceptions for certain CMU PUDs. That basically says that the planning commission may consider surrounding land uses and the visibility of the area to be developed within the CMU PUD from public streets and surrounding properties, and on that basis modify or waive the yard, peripheral boundary, landscaping, or buffering requirements otherwise applicable to the CMU PUD, or waive or modify the required improvements set forth in section 7.050.3, provided the planning commission shall require such health and safety provisions as are determined to be appropriate, and shall require adequate provision for access considering the nature of the proposed use. The planning commission may place limits on the extent of the proposed use to assure that the health, safety, and access provisions remain adequate. So all of that to say, while the requirements or while the regulations do require the landscaping to be shown on the preliminary master plan, the planning commission does have the ability to waive those requirements if you all deem it to be appropriate for the use for the plan that you see before you. So I don't have a recommendation one way or the other because you all have that waiver language included in your regulation. So I know that's probably not exceptionally helpful to you, but I did think that it was worth pointing out in my report. Thank you.
Sorry. Any questions for Miss Amanda? Go ahead.
How far is this, I guess, the front house, I guess be to the east, no, to the west? How far is it off that transmission line right away? Looks like it's buttoned right up on it.
if I can recollect that, because I had to deal with this with when I was doing some stuff in Westmoreland with TVA. It should be right at the 10-foot or whatever, the 10-foot, 15-foot requirement that we have to follow with any kind of structures, retaining walls or anything. It should be whatever that is, because that's what I had to talk with them before on previous projects with, so.
Okay, thank you.
David?
So on our being able to waive the landscaping on the front of the buildings, I mean, when we put that, the codes and zoning put that, it made sure that that was in there, was for particularly this instance where your commercial's all up front. And if you've got a bunch of vegetation blocking the building, then you can't tell what the building is for your customers. Also, if you'll look at the way the entrance to this project is, you wouldn't want a bunch of vegetation blocking your view to be able to see traffic coming back and forth for a safety. So we wanted to make sure this body had the ability to be able to make those adjustments because we're trained for that here to be thinking of those things
Mhm.
instead of waiting for the commission to maybe catch it or maybe not.
I think that's a good point. I mean, obviously, this project would empty onto Highway 25, which is our busiest thoroughfare. And we don't want to do anything to hinder line of sight and anything that would make it less safe. For, yes, sir.
Just to note that though, during our TDOT design criteria that we follow for the entrance and the things that we do meet with, horizontal sight distance, vertical sight distance, all of those things are analyzed. And if we don't meet the criteria based on the manual, then we can't do it regardless. So just keep that in mind as well. And what we do is anything to do with any sides of bank or anything that's blocking in terms of obstacles, as in the ditch or rocks, trees, whatever, has to be completely clear of sight. And that's what we show whenever we show the TDOT plan. We show that they're from a car sitting at 3.5 feet up, which is our observation point, from left and right. They both have clear distance left and right to be able to adequately see the vehicles coming from, left and right. So I wanted to keep that in mind when we do the TDOT part of this.
What kind of caught my eye was we've got the 3,000 square foot, right? Commercial buildings in front. If they were ever to need to be served by a trailer truck, is that possible?
Yes, so what we end up doing is the way that we show our truck templates, we show a turning radius of, for in this case, the commercial buildings that we've talked with the owners, it'd be nothing larger than a 30-foot wheelbase. So that's what we use as the design requirements. So in our truck templates, we show the truck coming in, been able to go into the spot, and that's where I was talking to Mr. Thomas is the actual area over here to the side will may have to be manipulated based on what Mr. Cliff wants as well. Because the dumpster truck is also kind of what we're designing the just functional loading trucks are as well. So that's something that as long as the dumpster truck works, the loading vehicles also work.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Where in relation is this entrance to Highway 25 pertaining Rolling Meadows?
So according to TDOT, this is a TDOT requirement that we follow. It is perfectly in line with Rolling Meadows. That's a recommendation that we have to follow through them. So as soon as you go at Rolling Meadows, it's going to be exactly in line with it. So
Did they mention anything about traffic light or anything there due to the density?
no, the traffic light wouldn't warrant in that situation because the density and the average daily traffic isn't quite high enough based on it. Now, if we put something like 30, 40, 50 units here, then we may entertain something differently. But it being only the 11 and the estimated daily travel for the commercial businesses that they are wanting to do, it's not anything that's going to increase into that area. So
they didn't see a need for a turning lane or anything. It's just basically how it is right now, correct?
traffic signal. They haven't entertained a traffic signal. The turning lane could be something that we do once we get into maybe a traffic assessment or those things, just like we deal with other projects. But with this being, they would look at the average daily traffic and then they would say, hey, does this warrant a turning lane? Then that's kind of, we'll proceed with that is accordingly.
So basically, whatever TDOT says at that point, y'all will abide by.
I guess looking at this, I don't know if this is the time where we would need to call out ADA parking. I notice you've got one at the mailbox, but there are none notated in front of the commercial buildings. Is that something that needs to be on this preliminary?
Go ahead.
As we do, just like with similar to the last PUD, we leave the area, we show it as just a designated parking, but we've got more parking than, or more parking area than we needed. So we would basically on the final plan, we would show the actual ADA spots, how many that were required, how many that we're providing and those things. We just have not shown it on this one in terms of based on previous experience with this.
Other questions? Concerns? Yes, sir.
I do want to take a moment since it was brought up about the traffic flow on this that and I've emailed it to you and it's already gone to Brandon. I was hoping to be able to get it before this body, before the August meeting so that the commission could vote on it. But there will be a ordinance amending our, both the PUD and the commercial residential PUD that will require over 30 units will have to have a traffic impact study done before it comes before this body. So if that passes, it's still going to go before codes and zoning this month. It'll still be, we'll get a final copy to come back here, but it'll be September before, if at that point it ever does. I won't be on that commission. So hopefully that whoever is in that seat will continue that and get that going. It was brought up in a lot of discussion on the first PUD that we had. And I did make a promise to the commission that I would get that going and get it done. So that will be coming before this body.
Would that require 2 readings on the, so you plan to present it at the county commission at their August meeting?
Well, I was going to, but it has to come before this body
First.
before it can go. And since
So-
it's not on our agenda,
So,
I'll have to,
so then it would come here in September,
yes.
then to the September meeting,
Yep.
October.
Yeah, September and October.
So it
Final
would be
October.
roughly November 1st before
Yep.
it would be in effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's a good idea. Just trying to give everybody a time frame as to how quickly that could be done.
I got one more question pertaining to stormwater. I noticed there's a house to the east of it, and I think it kind of sits off in a low spot, and then there's a house directly behind it, kind of behind the retention pond. Is there any concerns about water getting, into their areas? Is everything going away from them, should I say? Trying to look at it, the map don't go too far past, site plan.
To address that, we are something that we would show on the grading plan. We will have a diversion ditch that's running the whole northeast/west of the property there, diverting all of that into our stormwater pond and on plan northwest. Same thing with this. Anything that we're going to be doing, we're going to be having curb and gutters, those things all directed to that central location. So all the sheet flow that would be coming to, without grading, would be coming kind of north of this page will be collected with a ditch or berm or some kind of diversion to keep it off of any surrounding properties, more than what they've ever experienced before. That's our whole point of it anyway, so.
Yes, sir.
Just to follow up on that. So the overflow off that pond, I'm guessing, is then going to be directed down to the creek that flows across the northern property there then?
Yeah, so what we would have to do is there would be a situation where whatever the concentrated flow is at that point, we would either be equivalent to or less, ideally less is our goal, to be either how fast the water is moving and the quantity or volume of the water. So what we would do is, yes, we are directing it to that point, but it would not be anything that would be greater than what it is right now. And that's why the pond is so big, and that, it would have the depth, the outlet protection, riprap, those things to, as I've said, is to make sure it's not greater than or faster than what is going right now.
Other questions? Comments? Are we ready to move on? Okay, so what we have before us is a rezoning request. It's a PUD rezoning request, which, as we learned last month, is different than just a regular request. From what I hear from Amanda and Rosalie, they have met all the requirements that we require initially to bring up a PUD. Am I correct, Ms. Rosalie? Ms. Amanda? So, I guess I need a motion to send this to the county commission with either a favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation at all. Yes, sir.
So looking at this proposed project and then looking back at what the last proposed project on this was, this is same commercial up front, like we've been trying to get. It's less dense than what that previous one was. And the plan, I mean, they've got the cul-de-sac already mapped out. They've got a playground area for the residents. I mean, it's a really laid out, nice plan. Nothing compared to the capacity of the other PUD that has already gone through. So with that all being said, I'd like to send this forward with a favorable approval.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Thomas to send this to the county commission with a favorable recommendation. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Bay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass. Next on our agenda is a site plan review of, this is a property that's on Holland Lane of 0.507 acres. And this is for 4 townhomes by Gammons Construction LLC. I assume you're representing Mr. Gammons? Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. So this is your standard, I'm proposing 4, townhome units here. They're approximately, let's see here. I think it's, let me see exactly. Not exactly sure. I ain't got the number with me, but typical requirements for parking ADA. We included the stormwater detention pond and the stormwater design elements here on C3, showing us retaining the stormwater on site and not dumping it on anyone else. So that's showing their stormwater requirements. I mean, everything else is just pretty standard. We have a dumpster / loading area for that with the increased material as in concrete and thickness for that. So you don't have to deal with issues of any like cracking or those things. And then everything else is just pretty standard for this as well. So, and then it looks like I also included the utility plan for it, anything to do with how we're going to run sewer with the building, attached water and those things is and a landscaping plan as well. And as Ms. Rosalie, me and her worked a lot through this one, trying to figure out what requirements were needed or needed to add to it. And we also did get the Hartsville Trousdale Water Sewer Utility District will serve letters for water and sewer along with electric as well for this one. So again, it's pretty typical or standard. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Thomas?
The Holland Lane, is that a one-way street?
I believe it's a dead end, isn't it? Pretty
So
much.
Then
Yeah,
it's going to act as a
It's
drive.
considered, yeah. The retention pond is, so is this lot falling between the existing dwellings, I guess, to the south and the house that's to the north now? Is it falling in between those? Yes, currently the duplex is here on H14's properties. The little abutment there of, I believe, around 15 or 20 feet. The water is currently draining right there, sheet flowing is really what my interpretation of it was going to be. And that's where you see the diversion ditch, because the home and all of the sheet flowing coming towards our property, we're trying to build it up, build those units up a little bit, and then having a ditch wrap around that property there to collect anything that's sheet flowing from the north to us. And then same thing for the left. We're trying to build everything up to divert it to the pond from the left side. if that's addressing what you're asking.
Mitch, did that answer your question?
Somewhat, I guess I know it's a little tight area there, so I'm trying to visualize it here with where the pond, it seems like some duplex, quadruplexes behind it, I guess. And how close is that? Looks like it's a little tight area. I mean, I'm not saying it can't fit. I just was curious, make sure we wasn't flooding them.
Okay, good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So those two houses that are there on the current property, we will be removing those. I'm sorry for not clarifying that. But yeah, we will be removing those and I think I showed them on the survey that was completed. I'm not sure exactly where, but one of them had it on there, but the two houses will be removed, which allowed us to gain a lot more room for the storage depth of our pond. That was the good thing for us there. But yeah, I'm sorry for not clarifying that one.
Thank you. That was my concern. I see three there, but if you're removing the two, thank you.
You're gonna leave the house that's up at the East Main Street? Yeah, Mr. Holland's old house. If you don't know, this is where Key Holland lived, and it goes down. There was two old shacks, really, down below there. Mr. Nolan?
Are y'all gonna widen the road there where it can, for two cars to pass each other? Cause it's real narrow.
Of my knowledge, we have had zero discussion with widening the road there currently. That'd be something that I guess would be more up to y'all, but it would be hard to tell the client that to do that when it's already existing there now working for similar circumstances. But again, that's not up to me. That's up to y'all. So whatever y'all want to do with that.
You'd almost have to remove his house if you widen it down through there. It's narrow.
Well, yes, sir.
I will tell you this because I did look into this in case this would be an option. And like you said, the current house that's sitting there, I'm not for sure who lived there, but the house you just said, the right of way that we would have there, you would have to reestablish the right of way. And then at that point, we cannot go plan west anymore because then you're dealing with all of the area that's here. So you're kind of not landlocked, but you're kind of only can go so far on that. So we did entertain that a little bit in our office, but with the options that we were looking at, nothing seemed very easy. But again, easy is not always the answer. But that was what we did analyze that a little bit. So
I would think we would need to have discussions with Mr. Scruggs if we could get an answer. Or, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just, I mean, that's his, he's the road dude. He ought to know. Yes, sir.
But that was the question I had. Is that Holland Lane, is that a county road or is that a 911 address road?
Do you know if that's a county street or, I mean, a city street?
of my knowledge, I believe it is, just from trying to research this, because if, I'm gonna be completely honest. I lived in Lafayette my whole life, and I wasn't even for sure that this was a road or lane or anything like that.
Do you
So
know
that
which
was
road it is?
something that I believe it should be a city street, but I'm not for sure.
It's been there forever.
it's got lane, that means it's not a road. It's a
No,
right
it
of
just,
way in, because it just went back there to his barn.
well, it just mean lane typically means a dead end, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. Hey, this thing's been there longer than we've been alive. So I mean, who knows what the meaning of it was
Yeah.
when it was done, Rosalie's looked it up. It is a county road. Yes, sir.
So then my question is, based on our experience with Thompson Lane, do we hold this project up for the road superintendent to finally get around to a project? Or do we go ahead and, because it's only adding 2 more dwellings to the property, go ahead and approve it, hoping one day it gets done?
Well, I think my thought would be that it is an approved county street. Am I right? That is no fault of the petitioner. They're going on the assumption that Trousdale County Road Department has done its due diligence and has this road up to specifications for traffic. Would he have to sign off on a plat for this, Ms. Rosalie? To me, that's when he should take a hard look at it and see if that's, I mean, that's his job. And he was elected by the people to do that job. So I don't feel comfortable speaking for him or anything. And, you know, the Thompson Lane thing to me was a little bit of a different thing. Nobody knew that the Thompson family had donated that land many, many, many years ago to the county to widen that street until we had that meeting a couple of years ago. I do want to, it is amazing though, how when you're asked to appear before the county commission, that all of a sudden movement happens. That's amazing. But I'm glad. I'm glad. Again, my thought would be that the petitioner should not be penalized for assuming that it's a county road, because it is a county road. Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to send to the county commissioner with a favorable approval or favorable.
Well, it's a site plan. It doesn't
Site
have to
plan.
go
Oh,
to the
site
county
plan.
commission.
Oh, sorry.
It's not a rezoning.
Okay.
I do have a quick question as far as fire hydrants. I've looked through several of those. I haven't seen, I know there's some up through East Main. I'm just not sure how far they are from this property.
Thank you, Cal. On this, the proposed fire hydrant that we're gonna be using for this one is the one in, there on East Main Street. It is located on C4, and the existing fire hydrant is on the top right of the page with, here's the characteristics of the hydrant. And it's within your 500-foot minimum requirement or distance from the principal of the structure. So we do have that documented as well. But that is the hydrant that we will plan on using for this property.
Thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Rosalie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Basically, the things that I was going to be sharing with everyone, everyone's been asking the question for, so there doesn't leave much for me to say. Thank you, Cal, for always pointing out like the fire hydrant, which is always a main concern of mine. I promised the fire chief that I would always ask about that. And you will find that on the proposed site utilities plan where it is notated there. Looking at all of the information that we've been given concerning the size, the lot, the setbacks. If you notice as well, it's very difficult to see from the TN property viewer that the road or access to the road right there past Mr. Holland's house does widen, so they do have more access when they get there to the driveway when they're pulling in. Based on all this information, the stormwater that they've been looking at, and they always provide for me as well. It checks the boxes for me. Thank you.
Okay. Questions for Ms. Rosalie? Ms. Amanda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no corrective comments on the site plan.
Okay. And you can look, we can look down there and see, Mr. Scruggs has already signed this plan. This is a final site plan. But, you know, that's on him. All right. So, you know, did anybody have any questions for Miss Amanda? Shouldn't, you didn't say anything. All right, guys, discussion? Motions? Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to send Was it for favorable?
No, it's
To
just,
approve, I'll make a motion to approve, and I apologize for jumping the gun on y'all. We got talking so many
Yeah.
questions
yeah, this doesn't go to the county committee. This is,
for approval. I
if
apologize.
this is approved tonight, it's approved.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, have a,
And I apologize for jumping the gun.
no, you good. Have a motion by Mitch, second by David to approve this site plan. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. It is approved.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to bring up a comment that I made earlier this year. This does add a little more density to this same area that is getting more and more dense. We really might want to take a good look at that, as they seem to be putting 3 and 4 houses on these little properties. That's all within code, so I understand that, but that's getting pretty deep right through there.
It seems like across the street where Risey Scruggs' store used to be, that's been approved for us. I can't remember right now how many. 10, 4. Okay. All right, guys. Next on our agenda is a site plan review of property at 1650 Highway 231 South. This is of 1 acre. This is for a business site by Blue River Propane LLC. Sir, would you please push that button? Yeah, and state your name so the secretary can get your name down, please. And
Yeah, Stuart Arnold.
go ahead, Stuart. Tell us what you want to do here.
Well, I've got a site plan before you. I've worked with Rosalie and Amber on a lot of the details. You have an engineered layout of everything we have planned. It's essentially an existing property with a dwelling on it that we have intentions of restoring, making it look better, making it look nicer. That will be our office, and then the upper right-hand corner of the lot is really the area of focus for development. It's essentially a rock shelf currently. That's kind of hard to mow. We're going to smooth that out, and that's where our operational storage yard will be for the business. So that's in a nutshell what we have. We work with the state of Tennessee, the fire marshal's office, on all the specifications for the propane aspect of it. So that's pretty well it. Everything should be depicted on the sheets.
The one we're most familiar with is the one in town.
Yep.
Is that similar look as
Same.
to what we would expect?
Same business, same type of business. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for this gentleman? Okay, Ms. Rosalie?
Thank you, sir. So I'm sure you've seen this property before as you're traveling south on 231. It does have a billboard. Looking at the site plan, you'll notice that they will have a fence around the large propane tank. I did ask that they would also reference where they're going to be loading and unloading the propane. And I know that we did have a sheet that had a traffic pattern showing where they would come in and fill. And then I don't know if you guys have that or not. I don't have it in mind. This one doesn't have it, but it does show where the trucks would come in off of Robertson Lane, move up, be refilled, and then go back out on Highway 231. I did have a question. When I first saw this, I had a question about the septic system, because we know that this is a house here, and of course they would have to have a septic, and I wanted to know where the septic field was, because we didn't want them building on a septic field or any type of soils area. So if you look on one of the plans here, you'll see that the septic system is on an adjoining property with an easement. So there is no fear of them building on any soils area or septic system. Looking at the various notations here and the width of the parking places, they do have an ADA compliant parking place. Again, it checks a lot of the boxes that we look for, especially things dealing with distances and the NFPA rules as well. And thank you so much for working with the State Fire Marshal's Office on this. Because with 231, it's a little bit of a distance away from any type of fire hall. So thank you. And that's all I have.
So you approve this?
Yes, sir.
I might have missed that. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Has this property been rezoned back to commercial and it's just not updated on the property map?
It is commercial.
David?
When was that changed? Because it was commercial, then it was rezoned residential, and I can't find anything showing it went back to commercial. And it still shows in property viewer as residential.
So the TN property viewer, the property data, at one time it was used as a house, and that is use, not necessarily zoned. On the zoning maps that we had in the office, it is zoned commercial.
Okay. So it has been used as residential, but that never changed the zone. The zone has always been commercial.
Because it was zoned C1, which does allow for residential use.
Okay. Other questions? Miss Amanda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no corrective comments on the site plan checklist.
Okay. All right. Planning Commission members, discussion? Comments? Mr. Thomas?
Well, with the zoning cleared up on it, I'd make a motion to approve then.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Thomas to approve this project. Do I have a second? Second by Shutter. Any discussion, questions, or anything? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously.
Thank you. Appreciate the support as well from the office.
Thank you. All right. That gets us through our new business for tonight. Next on our agenda is a discussion, and this is an update of the bylaws for the planning and BZA. I read this right, they haven't been updated since 1974. You know, we don't want to get in a hurry when we do things here in Trousdale County. So I guess we've taken our time on this. So I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Rosa. You do have this to go with in your packet at the very end.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Not the page I showed, it's after that.
So a lot of things are happening within the state of Tennessee. They're trying to really get a level set for all the planning commissions and the boards of zoning appeals. There are a lot of different public chapters that are being adopted and sent out. One of those do address that bylaws need to be updated. Looking at our bylaws, I know whenever I was asked for the bylaws for the planning commission, I found one document. When I was asked for a copy of the bylaws for the Board of Zoning Appeals, well, lo and behold, it's kind of nestled in the bylaws for the planning commission. And when I saw the date on there, and it's like, well, it's a good thing they're asking us to update this because it is definitely time to do that, because in 1974, and we were just talking about this during the BZA meeting, 1974, I think, is when they first started the planning commission. And we were not Metro at the time, so the county had their own planning commission, the city had their own planning commission. They each had their own planning commissioners, and never the twain shall meet. Now it's time for us to get on board and get this all set up. So we need to make sure that whatever we have as our bylaws for the planning commission, this is what we follow. And Amanda was very kind to tell us that it's not necessarily named bylaws anymore. You know how they always update names. The name of this now is Rules of Procedures. So basically, it's like an SOP, so a standard operating procedure for the Planning Commission. So what I suggest that we do is we just kind of run through this together, look at this, start notating, all right, what is not right here? So let's go ahead and start with this. The annual meeting of the Planning Commission shall be the second Monday of August of each year. Now, we just had our annual meeting. During the annual meeting, that's when we have our elections. Okay? Such meeting shall be devoted to the election of officers for the ensuing year, and other such business shall be scheduled by the Planning Commission. Section 2, regular meetings. Regular meetings of the Planning Commission shall be held in the Hartsville City Hall. I had that highlighted. That's not what we do anymore. On the second Monday.
Now that we're Metro, there really is no city hall anymore. That building still stands, but it's
Sure.
not technically city hall.
So typically, we meet here in the Trousdale County Courthouse. Right? Second Monday of each month at 7:30 PM. Well, that's a change. And at such meetings, the commission shall consider all matters properly brought before the commission without the necessity of prior notice thereof given to any members. A regular meeting may be canceled or rescheduled by the commission at a prior meeting. Now, there have been times where we've had to cancel planning commission meetings, but that is at the discretion of the chair. So the planning commission chair. Special meetings of the planning commission shall be held at a time and place designated by the officer calling the same, and shall be called by the chairman or secretary. Now that would be Ms. Carmen over here, the secretary. Written notice thereof shall be given to all members not less than 24 hours in advance thereof, except in case of emergency. Now, the state has said, this is a level set with everybody. We have a 48-hour notice. All packets, agendas, everything have to be distributed and posted 48 hours of the meeting. Okay.
I would think with regular meeting and special meetings, do we need procedures for how to post and where to post a special meeting? Regular meeting's the second Monday, so we know that. But if a special meeting had to be called, do we need to designate it would be posted on the county website, on the planning commission website, on, say, on social media outlets? I mean, I've just been through a big hassle about this over the last few months, and I don't want to run through another one if I don't have to.
We could just adopt what the county commission already does for their special called meetings. The process is already.
I would
in
think that
writing.
would be, I don't know what that is, but I would think that would be the correct procedures to do. That way people would know it's the same procedure and we're not adding anything or taking away anything, so they're used to it. So I think that would be a good suggestion. What do y'all think? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to go through that crap again.
Okay, quorum. At any meeting of the planning commission, a quorum shall consist of 4 members. No action shall be taken in the absence of a quorum except to adjourn the meeting to a subsequent date. Now, we have how many commissioners on the planning commission?
Since there's now 9, I would think that number needs to change to 5.
Yes, sir.
Is there a set number of planning commission members that needs,
Mhm.
I mean, yes, it's currently 9, but is there a limit to how many you could have?
It would be whatever ordinance says that, whatever the county commission has adopted for it.
I didn't know if the state had a
Right.
number.
The state has, okay. Is it 9?
There's a menu. It's 57579, I think it, and then it goes into dependent on population. So you choose that and then your county commission confirms.
Okay.
Mhm.
I like the 9 because I like more representation, you know.
Okay, voting. At all meetings of the planning commission, each member attending shall be entitled to cast 1 vote. Voting shall be by acclamation.
What does that mean? Out loud.
Mhm.
Why can't they just say out loud?
Because bingo. Bingo. So sometimes,
Well, I think of acclamation as you know, when we railroaded Shutta and Cal, somebody makes a motion that we just do it by acclamation, you know, and that's the way I'm used to that, you know. Okay,
so rather than roll call,
yes.
there we go. Okay. Okay, conflict of interest. In the event that any member shall have a personal interest of any kind in a matter, then before the commission, he shall disclose his interest and be disqualified from voting upon the matter. And the secretary shall so record in the minutes that no vote was cast by such member. The affirmative vote of at least the majorities present at the meeting shall be necessary for the adoption of any resolution or other voting matter.
I have to say, since Amanda's training on that, I think this body has done an excellent job of adhering to any type of personal interest in anything.
Should we add,
Am I right, Amanda? You go around the state. Okay, good, good.
based on her training, should we add into the bylaws and also remove themselves from the room? Because I know that was a recommendation.
So that's a best practice, but it's not necessarily a
Okay.
rule.
I think as long as as long as the member discloses, stays out of the discussion, and doesn't try to influence, I see no reason for him to have to go somewhere, personally. And, you know, I mean, I just don't see that. I mean, y'all might, if you want it that way, it's fine. I don't, but I just don't see going that extra step. You know, it needs to be presented, disclosed. Because one thing, if a question comes up, then you got to go hunt the dude down to get the answer to the question. Because sometimes y'all may have a question about something, you know. But
If they have abstained, they've abstained. There is no hunting anybody down for a question.
no, I mean, well, they've recused themselves.
Recused, that's what I'm saying.
They-
They're not allowed to participate whatsoever.
So a member of the planning commission who has a question about the project couldn't ask it of that person?
No, sir. They're
Okay.
completely recused. They do not exist for purposes of that
Okay.
project.
So how would an answer be given? They just have to either you ladies answer the question or put it off until an answer could be gotten. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm good with that.
Yep.
I just want to make sure we're doing it right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I do appreciate the way this body is done versus the way the commission is done. Because in this body, it truly is a conflict of interest. It's not just abstaining from the vote. So it's not a no vote by abstaining. It's truly a removing yourself from the,
Right. Instead of
So-
9 members, you have 8
you have eight.
if it's just one person.
So that being said, if we were in a situation where we barely had a quorum of 5 and a person abstained or removed themselves, recused from that vote, we don't have a quorum for that.
You couldn't
So
discuss
you,
that.
you couldn't
issue.
have that vote then,
Right,
correct?
you'd have to put it off. Right.
And if you do abstain, you do need to say with cause.
So,
And I will also say too, in the trainings that I've been at the Planning Academy with the conflict of interest and the code of ethics, you have to be very careful, especially as planning commissioners, of facial expressions, body language. You have to remain as neutral as possible, because if anyone felt aggrieved or that they didn't get a fair shake out of it, they could go ahead and take that up and file an appeal because of body language and facial expressions. So that's one thing too to note.
no evil eye.
Got a question. How does it work if you was trying to present it? You had nobody to present your property for you or whatever, you come here and you had to present it. How does that work? Do you recuse yourself from this and then go over to the podium and present your case? How would that happen?
Amanda?
Could you repeat that question for me?
What he's saying is if I had a project.
Uh-huh.
And it's my project and I tell the the planning commission, I have a conflict of interest and I'm done with it, but I'm the one that's supposed to present the project, to be the petitioner. Can I go to the podium and present the project?
The best thing to do is to hire somebody to present for you.
Key thing there though is the best thing to do.
The best thing to
Do you
do.
have to?
It is highly advisable.
Okay,
that you
I
do
agree,
that.
I
Yeah.
agree, but I just wondered if,
I mean, if you absolutely cannot get anybody, your engineer, your surveyor, your neighbor, your dad, your mom, anybody in the world to go in and present for you, then you need to disclose on the record that you were there as a public citizen and you are not there as a planning commissioner or a county commissioner or a board of zoning appeals member or in any other capacity but a public citizen.
So if I hired
Okay.
somebody, so Mr. Lancaster here to come speak to
Mhm.
me and he said, did what he say, I'm speaking on behalf of Mitch and I'll recuse myself? How does that work?
well, I don't think they would necessarily, they're speaking on behalf of you, they're speaking on behalf of the
Of the
project.
client.
Well, if
And
your name's all over,
you could be the client.
if your name's all over it, I was just curious,
Yeah.
cause sometimes we ask who they're speaking on behalf of.
So
So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And again, that by abstaining and recusing, I think that takes care of that.
You do your best to remain as neutral as possible and not, yeah. Yes.
Hey, I like what ifs because a lot of times they come up.
Okay, section 7 proceedings, any regular meeting of the planning commission, the following shall be the regular order of business. Now, this is like one of those games where you've got to put it in sequence, right? What's number 1, what's number 2? As we've experienced this evening and what we've learned last week, we have to have public comments on our agendas. And what I learned this evening is not only do we have to have a public comment, usually I thought it was towards the end of the agenda, you have to have it at the beginning too, before the public hearings. So the first public comment is strictly about the agenda. And then the final public comment is about anything within the jurisdiction. So they can comment about the agenda if they want to, because that's within the jurisdiction. But the first one is just about the agenda. Now, how you guys want to organize what our agenda looks like, basically we've had a format that I was given by GNRC because they didn't like how we were doing agendas back when I first started. And I said, well, give me a template. And that's what we've been using since then. but what's in our bylaws doesn't reflect that ordinance. So we need to come up with, hey, do we want to keep it similar to what we have and just interject the public comment where we need to? You guys tell me.
I think what we've been doing is, we've been doing it for quite a while now, and it seems to work. Is everybody happy with? And she's right about the school board's been using public comments. One of the first things I ask, is there anybody at the school board meeting that wants to address the board on any subject regarding school? Doesn't have to be on the agenda. And then we move on to the agenda. If anybody wants to address any item on the agenda, then I ask them to raise their hand, tell me which item they would like to discuss, and I call on them when we get to that item. There's really no use doing it before. You forgot what they said sometimes by the time you get to that item. So that's the way the school board's been doing it for, I don't know, a year or two now.
Normally, they have the sign-in sheet here and person puts their name down, but they also put down what they want to talk about on the sign-in sheet if they got whatever they want to talk about. So,
Well, then,
Would it
and
be-
that's always best, because like the rock quarry, we had a lot of people wanting to speak. But there were some people here that night that wanted to speak about different things that were on the agenda other than the rock quarry, if y'all remember. And so we needed to know, Heather?
Would it be proper to say amendment to the agenda prior to the public hearing comments? If you're gonna do that? So that you'd be within the new
You mean if we
statute?
need to change the agenda? Well, what we do, and I'm just the template of the school board, we roll call, we do the minutes, we do the public hearing of anybody that wants to say anything, anybody wants to discuss anything on the agenda, and then we approve the agenda for the night. That might be something that you want to do, because I asked, is there any board member that has anything that needs to be added to the agenda? As a board, you have that, So is that kind of what you're talking about? The procedure or the order of,
Just the order, if there's any amendment, just making the call of action, any amendments to the agenda.
how would y'all like to do that?
Prior to the, like, if you do separate it, do you state that there's an amendment to it so that you know that the person who comes up and speaks is speaking on what this? Because what if somebody pulls something from the agenda? Does that make sense? If you have public comments at the beginning and it's to deal with what's on the agenda, and you add or remove something to the agenda, does everyone have a?
No, I
proper
would
chance?
never ask for them to speak to an item on the agenda in the beginning. I would want to wait till we got to that item and then have them come up and speak. That's what we did with the rock quarry. That's what we did with other issues on that. I've always thought it's better for them to speak when that item comes up, because then everybody knows it's that item, but that's not correct.
Well, so the idea is to get the public comments up first. The reason being that it gives everybody a chance to come up and speak to items that are germane to items that are on the agenda. If there is something that hasn't been addressed, they have the ability to come up under the second call for public comment. So if, let's say I use this example with the BZA, data centers. If somebody had a concern about decommissioning plans and they said something, we were talking about data centers, and they came up and they said, well, I don't want to talk yet because I don't know what's going to be said. Well, understandable, but the point of public comment is not to get into a debate back and forth about what's going on. It's the ability for people to be able to say their piece and have their concerns and their voices be put on the record. During that public comment time is the time for staff to be able to take notes and be able to make little notes to themselves about what, their concerns are about that particular item that's on the agenda. If for some reason a particular person's item is not addressed during the agenda presentation, under the second call for public comment, they can come back up and ask their question again and get
Once
clarification.
the item had already been voted on and either passed or failed, and they're just speaking at the end, just, when it's already been settled.
That's just part of how it.
Okay,
that's
I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's just kind of part of the thing.
Yeah,
Um,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, I do. But I think that that's part of the reasoning by having two public comment periods. That's why the state wanted to be sure that people had that opportunity to have two bites at the proverbial apple.
Okay.
It also helps keep the flow of the meeting going.
So the way the county commission does it, and I think it really will help with what we're doing here. One, Heather's point of you set the agenda first and then you have your people come up and is there anything on the agenda you want to speak to? They write it down, what they want to speak on. Like you're saying, when you get to that point, as you have your discussion, all the members get to have their say, discussion, then you give the people their time to discuss. And then
No,
at
that's
the end of the
she's
meeting.
talking- That's at the very end that's after all business is done concluded.
So
Right.
the way the county commission does it is that person gets to speak during the discussion of that item. And then it's open at the end of the meeting. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak to the commission about something that the commission is doing or has up? So it gives that general, just like.
So
what
you
they're-
let them speak at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then again, when that item comes up,
No, they get. to
oh, just
speak-
at the end,
They
okay.
get to speak during the time of the item,
Okay.
and then there's another general open session at the end. But I agree with what Heather's saying. We need to set the agenda so they know what's being discussed that night. Their item might not be on the agenda that night. It might have gotten pulled or, pushed back another month.
Mhm.
A lot of that time happens by the time Rosalie posts it and then we get here,
Right.
the developer pulls it or, something
Well,
happens.
there's sometimes we require the person to be here to speak on it, and if they're not here, we don't take it up. So, right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you look at the agenda that we have, our agenda, we've got changes to the agenda. So is that what you're saying? Keep that and do the public comment after that? Well, just similar to like what we did this evening. Okay, very cool. Okay, so if it's all right with you guys, we'll go ahead and keep the format like we have and have the two public comments.
Okay.
And then each formal action of the planning commission required by law, city charter, rule, or regulation shall be embodied in a formal resolution duly entered in full upon the minute book after an affirmative vote as provided in section 5 thereof. Now, we do a planning statement, especially with rezonings that go into the county commission packet that says that the planning commission provided a recommendation, so to speak. And of course, you guys know the recommendations. It's favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation whatsoever. So we can start doing that for not just affirmative votes, but any vote that we do. That way we can have it in our packet. As we discussed during the BZA this evening, making sure that we have everything on record, not necessarily looking at just the video or a transcript, but minutes, everything that's in the packet itself, and any type of statement that we have formalized will go into that packet in case there's any type of appeal, because if somebody felt that they were not treated fairly, they have a certain period of time where they can go and take it to appeals. And I know we had this little pop quiz that Amanda did, and I thought it was great. How many days do they have in order to file an appeal after a decision's been made?
I would say 30, but I don't know. 60 maybe.
Anybody?
Oh,
Any others? It's 60 days. So 60 days, they can come back and say, I want this to be relooked at and take it to the Board of Zoning Appeals, because the Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi judicial board. And they can look at things. All right. Rules of procedure, which is what we're going to be calling bylaws from now. Rules of procedure. All meetings of the Planning Commission shall be conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. Next section is officers, chairman, vice chair, and secretary elected by the commission at the annual meeting, which you guys just did. In the event the secretary shall be absent from any meeting, the officer presiding shall designate an acting secretary.
You ready, Moose?
Then the duties of the officer, chairman is preside at all meetings of the commission, to call special meetings of the commission in accordance with these bylaws, to sign documents of the commission, and to see that all actions of the commission are properly taken. Vice chair, during the absence or disability or disqualification of the chairman, the vice chair shall exercise or perform all the duties and be subject to the responsibilities of the chairman. And then the secretary, I think that we probably need to massage that a little bit because now that it is not 1974 anymore, back then they didn't really have a building official or a building inspector per se. Now
Actually,
you
they
do
did. Harry Leith.
part-time though, right?
Oh, yeah, there wasn't much building, so.
Gotcha.
He was also the city judge, so when he wasn't putting.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. You remember that, Moose? He was city judge, yeah.
My. We do have Amber Reyes, and I just want to point out to you, I'd like to congratulate Amber. She has survived 1 year in the planning office as of the 8th of this month. Thank you so much for being with us.
You need a star or something.
She does. She does. So just to talk about the signing plats and things of that nature, and the office manager will be handling the minutes to the meeting. So we'll look at this and come back and decide exactly what do we want to have done with this. Because it also talks about handling funds, any funds for this. I don't know if you would like to come to the office and take all the monies for anybody applying to come to, yeah, I get you. Yes, sir.
It seems like we need to actually add a fourth position of staff and then break out the lines, 1 through 7, what planning staff does versus the secretary. Because a lot of this, as you're saying, your office handles the fees,
Sure.
the agenda.
It's probably a good way to do it, and that way,
That is a good idea. I like that.
good job, Dave.
Okay. And that's something that we can kind of look at and formalize within the next meeting or two. Section 11 vacancies, absence from 50% of the meetings held in any 1 year shall be considered as a resignation. Should any vacancy occur among the members of the Planning Commission by reason of death, resignation, disability, or otherwise, immediate notice thereof shall be given to the mayor or county judge by the secretary. Should any vacancy occur among the officers of the Planning Commission, the vacant office shall be filled in accordance with Section 9 of the bylaws. Such officer to serve the unexpired term of the office in which such vacancy shall occur. So is that something that we need to look at amending, keeping it in?
Obviously, county judge needs to come out because that was the name of what we call mayor now. Jack's the mayor, but
Mhm.
back in that day, Jack would have been the county judge.
Gotcha.
So
Understand. And do we want it to be by the secretary or by planning staff? I know we're keeping up with all the attendance and making sure everybody.
I would say the
receives it.
staff because this.
Gotcha.
Because that goes along with what we were already talking, the minutes that Amber's been already doing, the roll call, all that's part of that.
Right.
But everything else, as far as, like the month that I was out, I was absent. Chaz took in, he took in the spot of vice chair until I returned, and then I went back to vice chair. We're already doing all that.
Right.
It's amazing, as old as these are, how much we're still doing. I mean,
And then we come to the Board of Zoning Appeals, which um, really had, like I said, the three planning commissioners that were out in the county, three planning commissioners that served on the Board of Zoning Appeals with the city.
All that needs to be, because there, again, there's no county judge. That would need to be
Right.
the mayor. There's 5 members now.
So-
Just a lot of that needs to be
Seven.
reworded. Oh,
Yes.
there's 7 on
Mhm.
the board.
And so the Board of Zoning Appeals is already starting to work through their rules of procedure, if you will, as well.
and since they're a different type of organization than we are, shouldn't it be better just to pull the BZA stuff out completely and let them have their own bylaws and then we have our own bylaws?
The state says that they have to. They have to have their own rules of procedure, and the planning commission has to have theirs.
So then there's no reason to even have that section in ours anymore.
Correct.
Just take it out completely.
Yes, sir. And there you have it. That is what is in your rules of procedure.
Do the bylaws have to be approved by the county commission? Or is it just a vote of the? I don't either. That's what I was wondering. I mean.
That would be an excellent question for Mr. Beller. I know with the Board of Zoning Appeals, what I referenced for them was also the combined ordinance and what the roles and responsibilities are that are in the combined ordinance. If it changes, that needs to change also in the combined ordinance. And I think we need to do that for our planning commission. Look at the roles and responsibilities in the combined ordinance, see how they differ. Do we need to amend the combined ordinance with that as well to make sure that everything is cohesive and they're all singing the same song so that there's no room for anybody to have any type of
I
negative.
do have another question. Does the county commission use Robert's Rules of Order?
They have agreed in principle to use Robert's Rules of Order in their bylaws. Does it actually occur?
That's what I'm saying.
There's probably 2 people on that whole commission who actually know them, and I'll say I'm not one of them.
Do we have to have Robert's Rules of Order?
Well,
Yeah, but we haven't accepted that yet, though. We vote on this, right?
Yeah,
You
I-
vote on that.
it is kind of the standard that Tennessee
I've
as
been big
general.
on going, saying you're gonna follow something, and then you don't follow it until somebody in the audience calls your butt on it or something. I'm sorry. They don't follow Robert's Rules of us down there. They don't follow anything. I mean, I don't care. I'm just saying that I've never seen a body actually follow Robert's rules. I got a book on it. I've been to 2 trainings on it, and half of them I've never seen done, you know. But I got the book in the truck just in case I needed it.
And most of, I mean, from subcommittee meetings to full commission meetings,
Yeah.
we're really so informal in Trousdale County
Mhm.
in the way we conduct our meetings that we try to actually include the public more than other counties and other cities
I agree.
would in their meetings.
That's why I'm saying, do we want to approve something that we're not gonna do anyway? You see what I'm saying? You know,
But then what do you put in its place?
is there anything in its place? I mean, I don't.
Don't have to put any.
Huh? I don't think you have to have anything. You follow the bylaws of the Trousdale County Planning Commission. And y'all don't have to agree with that. I'm just asking. I mean, I've never seen a body do it. I ain't never, ever come close to seeing one in Trousdale County doing it. So are we smart by approving something that nobody's gonna follow and nobody ever has followed?
And do we set ourselves up for issues down the
That's right.
road because we didn't follow what our
That's right.
bylaws said to follow? So I see the
Could we
validity of what you're
could
saying.
we have possibly lost the lawsuit on the rock quarry in an appeals by not following Robert's Rules of Order. I don't know the answer to that, you know.
I mean, that, they did give us some leeway,
Mhm.
in listening to the appeals statement and the discussion.
Basically, they were saying they did what they thought was best for Trousdale County.
Yep,
And just because they were stupid in a couple of places, we're not going to hold that against them.
that's exactly what they did.
Yeah,
But you can't really bank on that every time, so.
that's what I'm saying. Do we
Yeah.
want to approve? Y'all need to think about that. Do you want to
Yeah.
approve something that you're not going to follow? My suggestion would be you just put down, we're going to follow the bylaws of the Hartsville Trousdale County Planning Commission. I'm sorry. Well, we haven't agreed on the bylaws yet. We've just been going over. Oh. Again, that's just a suggestion.
So if we do that, would you want to put in time limits for public speaking then? You know, the commission actually has limits of, 5 minutes per person. I know at times you've actually had groups kind of come together and say, you've got 5 minutes, but pick one representative from your group instead of having to listen to 50 people to say the same
Until
thing.
we did that on the rock, until Beller told me that every one of them should get to speak. We have instituted the 5 minutes with the school board. Again, because of this last mess, I always felt like, and I was the only one that was against it, and I'm still against it. I always felt like we represent the people and I'm there to listen to what they got to say. I might not agree with it, but I felt like they had a right to talk. My fellow board members did not agree with that and said that I did not have the authority to not follow board policy because it's in our board policy. And so now you got 5 minutes. Although I didn't agree with that. Did I shut up?
But because there have been several issues through history where you end up with 50 people all wanting to talk, and that's a really long night.
That's a
So
bunch of 5 minutes.
Do we want? Yeah. So I mean, that's something that we also need to consider. And if we put it in the bylaws, then that's something, since we're taking the.
I think that's good. I
Robert's
will
rules
put
up.
that in the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes. Good point, David. I'm glad you thought of that. Anybody know of anything else? Heather sits on a lot of boards. Heather, you know of something that we need to, that would might need or don't need? You're right. Yeah.
Not to add anything to it, but obviously it's been 52 years since this was reviewed. I would suggest that we at least look at this in the annual meeting every year and just see if there any changes that need to be made.
I think that's a good point. Very good point. Since we said it anyway, very good point, that it's reviewed annually. Yeah. that's
And in
good.
that way too, you can get the new officers, if they're new,
That's what I was about to say.
implemented.
It's bylaws are reviewed annually during the election of officers. I kind of wonder, why do we do it in August? Because every other body does it in September.
I recommend that we change that to September.
Yeah, let's change that to September.
And,
We're
and
the same as all the other, school boards like that, county commissions like that. I mean,
and to the same vein, but taking it out, I would say October instead of September. Because the way it's going to go is the new commission will be seated in the September meeting. And then they're not going to be appointed until October. So you're not going to get your new members till October. So if the goal is to have everyone here when you do your annual meeting, you'd want to do that
Should be after our meeting anyway,
so Yeah.
it'd still be November. You're gonna keep kicking the can down.
so that's just something you need to
Rosalie,
consider.
could you ask Beller if there's a certain, because every governmental body that I know of does it in September, except this. So, just see what his, right. And if it's just up to us, then we can do it October's fine or whatever. All right, guys. Any other suggestions? I mean, we're lucky. We got, Heather sits on a lot of boards and we've got a lot of experience on this commission. Do what? She'd make a great chairman. But,
I will say that I think we also need to look at the combined ordinance and see what it says about planning commission. And I'll go ahead and send that out to everybody. Amber, if you'll help me remember either tomorrow or Wednesday. That way you guys can be looking at that or reviewing that, and then next month, we can see if we need to amend anything based on that.
okay.
And really, that was my whole goal when I started that whole project, is because it was so hard to be able to understand what was and wasn't in that document because of the way it was all jumbled up. Now that it's all one document and it's easy to read, you can really see how messed up it is.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to, on that side of things, continue that work, but hopefully whoever takes my place will.
Okay. Anybody, any more comments on the bylaws or anything? Is there anyone in the public that would like to make any comments tonight? Hey, I'm gonna follow it. The chairman has no report. Ms. Rosalie, do you have a report?
Yes, sir. So we talked about how the state's kind of changing things up, and they call them public chapters, and it's how they're level setting the whole state. So there is one that's really going to change the landscape of how developments are happening, and it's called Public Chapter 1044. I've gotten a planner from the Center for CLP. I'm sorry, local planning. There's so many acronyms, I'm telling you, going through this whole place. He has agreed to come and do the training with us. It was an excellent training. It lasted hours. Lots of PowerPoint slides. There is a lot of information. January 1st, this does come into effect. This is why we have to separate the Planning Commission bylaws as well as the BZA bylaws. So he's agreed to come and do this because it is a lot to unpack, and he'll be able to answer any questions that we may have. I'm not certain exactly what date he will do this planning, but it will be happening either in September or October, so that we can go ahead and start getting the ball rolling. Because one of the things is that there's going to be like a committee put together that will be reviewing even before it ever comes to planning. Different departments, transportation, water, all the different utilities, planning. Again, they will review things before they ever get to come to planning, which is really going to be important if the committee ever has like traffic impact studies or traffic assessment, anything like that. They'll go ahead and start doing all that work on the front end before it gets here, and we're going, gee, now how can we ask them to come back and look at this, and do we have to make a decision right now? Because if we don't make a decision, then it's automatically approved. It'll help with all of those things. So that's all I have.
Okay. I have no closing remarks. Do I have a motion to adjourn? This is last one. Ms. Nolan, you want to do the last time of your career? There you go. Second by Miss Katie. We are adjourned. I'd like to thank Mr. Nolan for his many, 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 many years of service.
He is a trooper.